Hello, hello, and welcome to today's episode of Roz's Happy Hour. This your girl, Roz. Wow, 2020. Can I go back to 2019? I thought the week before last was tough. Then we had a thunder and lightning, which is rare here in California. We had fires. The smoke was unbearable. For God, we are standing and still trying to bring you the best in arts and entertainment every Wednesday. I hope you're doing well and in good spirits. Stay positive and stay prayed up. Last week, we enjoyed Miss Regina Bell. She is off the chain. You can check out the past shows on Roz's Happy Hour YouTube channel. Please check it out if you would. Please share this link today for me. Tonight's show is going to be so much fun for me. Love these guys. They really need to mute their phones right now. Love these guys. These are the folks that make this business happen, but behind the scene. Without them, there is no show. So, large scale entertainment is not safe. Mask or not, large gatherings are not safe. So, our industry has stopped. The entertainment business is in a crisis, as you all know. 1 million jobs are at stake, are estimated to be at risk in the events industry, with no date when our industry will reopen. The $1 billion in emergency so-called aid package for this sector of the business, it will of lighting technicians, sound engineers, and road crew, which enables events. So our industry includes a huge supply chain from production, audio, lighting, and video to logistics, planning, graphics, transportation, and some of the world's leading technology. Without additional support for our supply chain, some of these creative and technicians could lose their livelihoods for good, which is the reason for our discussion tonight. And I'm looking forward to this very important conversation with the crew. Some very important information we hope to share with other crew members out there and in the concert industry. So join us and be part of the conversation. Send us questions and comments below. And again, please share the link. So, if you would please join me in welcoming some of the top stage crew in the world. Hey, fellas, what's happening?
Hey,
What's up, Ross?
Hey, oh man, what's going on? How's everybody doing? Well, one thing about tonight's show, we don't have to wait until the end of the show to have a drink. So let's just cheers. Let's cheers. Can somebody mute? Let's cheers. Cheers.
I'm with Joe. I'm on my tea.
yeah, me too.
It's happy hour. Welcome to Roz's Happy Hour. Okay.
I might not make it through an hour. You get me drinking something else. So let me be cool.
So you say Long Island iced tea.
Oh yeah, see. No.
So let's introduce everyone. Why don't you tell them your name and title and what you do? And let me start with Simon. Give me a second. This guy right here, he does all my graphics work. He's just phenomenal. And he's also, he probably get mad at me for telling him, but he's also Freddie Stone from Sly and the Family Stone's son. So welcome, if you would. Simon, what's up?
What's up, Ross? Just say hello to everybody. I'm Simon. I'm the owner of Spitfire Official. We're like full scale design and branding company and also music production company. Been in business over the past 15 years, done a whole slew of things, as I'm sure all these other guys have. I'm not really a name dropper, but I've done a lot and worked with a whole slew of really good people, major labels, major companies and stuff doing branding and the music side. So I'm excited to be here with these guys and obviously with Roz. I've known Roz for a minute, so it's just good for me to be here. Like, I'm if anybody knows me, I normally don't do this. I don't do the talking in the camera and do all that kind of stuff. But yeah, Roz hit me up, so I was like, you know what? All right, if I'm gonna do it for anybody, there's two people. It's Roz and then my other good friend of mine, Carmen Rubin. So between them two, I think these are the only two people I'm gonna hop on the camera for. So so I'm here, and you know, I'm blessed to be a part of the crew.
Well, thank you, Simon. And you know, we can't do this business without you because you producing our tickets, our laminates, our passes, our sponsorship packages. I mean, he does all of that. So don't even play it down like that.
Yeah, I gotta let you do it. You know, they say you're not supposed to brag on yourself. So I'm like, all right, let me let Roz kind of hype me up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, let me go to Mike next to see what's happening. Let me
What's going
find
on?
you in here.
How you doing?
What's going on, Michael? How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me on. All these fine gentlemen. What do you want to know?
You got all those titles.
I got all them titles. I do all that stuff. It's you know, we all do more than is listed, so it's a different day, and so usually I'm either babysitting or mixing, and that's one of those two things, or sometimes both of those two things, and it's fun. It's been a lot of years, and I also don't do this, get in front of the camera and talk. This is saved for the front lounge. After the show, we do a lot of talking. So right. I'm going to cut it short and turn it over to somebody else.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see, what's happening, Joe? Spencer, tell us about it.
Hi, everybody. What's up? Joseph Spencer III, production manager, audio engineer. Just kind of, you know, I do a little bit of everything, just pretty much like everybody else here. I am the monitor engineer currently for Tony Braxton and Monica, and production manager for Johnny Gill, and monitor for Johnny Gill, Teddy Riley, and I occasionally do some work with Keith Sweat. I mean, just for a bunch of people. So kind of all over the place in the industry, but here I am.
There you are. Thank you. Let's see what's going on. Mr. Ward.
Thank you, Roz, for having me, and you know, welcome to all the guys that's on here with me. I'm like everybody else. I do multiple things in this industry, you know, and also have a backline company which is located in Southfield, Michigan, called Gearheads. And I'm like Joe and Mike, and I'm sure the rest of the guys. You know, this speaking thing is not normally what I do. You know, I'm very laid back, as everybody knows. I don't say much at all, and you know, just sit back and listen. And but I'm glad to be a part of this process, and you know, I'm proud of you, Roz, for what you're doing and bringing knowledge to the entire country. You know, as well as just us guys that's on here. But you know, again, we're gonna keep it moving, and I want to hand it off to the next guy.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. Let's see. Mr. KC.
Good evening, everybody. Rosalind, thank you for having me on your show. It's good to be in such great company. A lot of old friends here. I've been known to get around. I've been around for a while. Currently, like everybody else, I'm on hiatus, but my day job is the production stage manager for the legendary Earth, Wind, and Fire. And once again, like I said, I'm just excited to be here. And thanks for having me.
All right. Earth, Wind, and Fire in the house. Okay, let me see, y'all. Bear with me. I gotta bring in, we have one more guest. We're gonna bring him in, and that would be Greg Hudson.
Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Hudson. I'm in good company as well with the gentlemen that are on this panel. Wear many hats as well: tour manager, production manager, backline business owner, production business owner. Been around the business many years. I'm at home, like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
How's that?
Front row seating at the couch.
Well, all of you guys collectively have worked with some of the top names, artists, celebrities in this business, from front of the house to back of the house. Congratulations to you on a job well done while you've been out there putting up shows. Let me just go to some simple questions for you guys. How long does it take you guys to put up a show? Let's start with when you get the call. Like me personally, I like at least 3 to 6 months out to truly put up a great show. Lonzo?
Well, I was going to ask, is it open for everybody? Or
Let's just be us. Do like we do.
I'll be honest with you, Alonzo. I'm curious to hear from KC.
Well, KC never put up a show. This is first round, right?
There it is.
Go ahead, KC, take it, man.
No, I was just going to say it depends on what kind of show.
Yep.
Some artists have simpler taste than others. You know, there's shows and then there's productions.
Yeah.
This is an old one here. This is a rider from 1994-95, Boyz II Men 2 tour. And if you can see that, I'm trying to see it.
That way, yeah.
But
the whole tour book.
Well, this is actually a rider, a technical rider for a tour.
Rider.
So, like I said, depending on the size of the tour, the complexity of the tour, you know, and where you're brought in. A lot of times you come in and it's sort of done. Somebody hands you something to either fix it or to make it work. Mm-hmm. Then in those rare situations, you know, you're actually in at the ground level.
At the ground up, yeah.
Case in point, one of the biggest shows I ever worked was Justin Bieber a couple of years ago. Mm. And they actually had a book. It looked like a comic book, but it was a visual script. And somebody wrote it up just like a screenplay for a movie. They had pictures of props, things that were in the show. And to watch this whole thing start from scratch, it started with these pictures, people looking for vendors, like who can make this boat. Mm-hmm. One of the props I had on the show, I was a head property master on that tour. I had a 16-foot boat that I could put 8 grown people on. A grown person could go into the back and stand up in it. It was in 4 pieces. It had to be set up in the show, and then it had to disappear like it was never there in between one song. It had a mast on the upper level that we put on an elevator, and it would take it up to the 2nd level. It had propeller blades on it, a little motor where the propeller would spin. Up on the crow's nest, there would be a dancer. And it was like NASCAR, like in between, we moved these big pieces in between, but all of those pieces during the construction phase to be involved, to go out to the fabricators and some of the scenic shops and oversee them building it to make it road friendly, you know, where it could be set up, taken apart every night. The show would open up with Justin flying in on a pair of 24-foot wide wings. Each wing was 12 feet long, stainless steel. It was cladded with different musical instruments, molded plastic, because Justin, believe it or not, he had a little bit of talent as far as being a musician. He played guitar, he played keyboards. There was a part in the show where he played drums. So all of these instruments were into the wings. So top of the show, we would basically put him in a harness attached to these wings. And the big reveal at the top of the show was this giant video wall opening up and Justin Bieber flying through with these wings on and landing downstage. So every night, everybody's on pins and needles. What if he gets stuck? How do you get him down? Luckily, we had no problems at all.
Yeah.
Then when he would fly back, you know, he would land and they would take him out of the wings downstage. That was revealed, and the wings would go and it would just hang there for a minute. And then at the right time, the wings would fly back through the wall closes back up. So you have to make those go away.
Wow.
That was one of those shows, like I say, that took some time to put together. And then, like I say, some of these shows are just like throw and go. You get a phone call. When I did Charlie Wilson, everything just showed up like 2 days before the tour started.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you didn't know nobody. Nobody really knew you. It was just a bunch of people come in. There was no big set. It was all just risers, and it was like throw and go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I guess that's as far as that goes with that conversation. And I'm sure everybody has a different story, you know, depends on, like I said, what your position is and like where you come in and who's putting it together. Some people, man, like put some really elaborate stuff together.
Yeah. So Mike, I know, let's see, we met, I think I want to say back in 1990 something at the Radisson when I was just still green. I was doing transportation production for Jim Hazalik.
Oh,
y'all
Lord.
remember anybody in the Bay Area?
Jim today.
Oh, did you? Anybody in the Bay Area knows about the Radisson? Well, we were out there in that hot sun doing shows, but you recently did a show similar to what KC was talking about that just happened in a minute, right? I heard you were in south of France.
I was there.
You were there too?
Yep. That was an amazing job that you and Alonzo, I mean, that
Alonzo was there?
we're still talking about that.
I'm still there.
That was amazing.
Come on, y'all got to tell the people about that show.
Yeah, Mike, tell him, man.
You know, there's not much to say about that one. A good friend of ours is Paul Raxit, and he has an entertainment company that, you know, does a lot of corporate stuff. And Magic and Cookie were celebrating their 60th anniversary, so they had rented this huge yacht.
Birthday.
Yeah, sorry, I said anniversary of birth. Anyhow, so we have to go. We're on top of a fort, and this whole thing was put together for. I mean, I worked on it for about a month and a half or 2 months ahead of time, trying to get everything together. And originally, it was one band, like an all-star band. Greg Filling-Gaines was going to do it. It was going to be multiple headliners coming in, and he was going to back them. You know, basically. So it was turnkey. It was really just gonna go. And how long you think, Casey? Like 2 weeks out?
Yeah, it's like, well, how about if we bring Earth, Wind, and Fire as well?
Let's bring Earth, Wind, and Fire.
2 weeks out on a boat.
But you know what's really crazy is all of these rotating acts that Greg Filling-Gaines' band was going to back. I mean, it was almost like my history of my career. Jeffrey Osborne was one of the opening acts.
Absolutely.
One of the opening acts. I mean, really?
Eddie Levert.
I mean, Charlie Wilson.
Uncle Charlie, Shaka Khan.
Yeah, it was
just one show.
Right. And then Earth, Wind, and Fire, they threw that on top of it on the back end.
But,
oh my God.
But as it stands, you know, we're first of all, we're on the metric system, so let's be very clear. And we're on top of a castle.
A real castle.
And on one side is the ocean, and like an 80 or 100 foot drop straight down. And on the other side, right? Like rocks and then ocean, you know, that's what it was. So we're saying, hey, we have this much stage, and I think there's a presumption that we can always manipulate or fudge a little bit here or there. And this was one of the only times I think I've ever experienced we could not. There was not an extra inch to be gained. We found, you know, what we could find, and everybody teamworked up, and we got it together. But it was a fun and adventurous thing. Good to have in the books, and good to have had so much experience around me personally, like these two gentlemen here, to, you know, kind of guide you through that and be so cooperative and give you that, you know, that mentoring, you know, that you need. Because Alonzo, he likes to yell at me. He yells different than everybody else. He goes, "Stroke."
Yeah.
Dro, why don't you, go do some production or something?
Make no mistake, y'all all be on me. Let me tell you something.
But it was outstanding, and it turned out absolutely stunning. And I mean, so that's us. That's the music side. You had to see. There was probably a crew. I think there's probably 45 or 50 guys over there, and I assume everybody was from France. And I mean, they got the saws out. They built this luxury set on top of the castle in place with every single change we threw at them. And they cut a board, and here we go, and we're going to do this and move it and it was so, we did our thing, and the music was, I mean, on point. It was fantastic, beautiful. And then but these guys, another level of the crew, and the people who don't get mentioned as often, like if it's sports, it's the hot dog guy, it's the people who sell you the beer, it's the parking attendants, it's so many levels to a show that nobody ever sees. I mean, we come in and we got, a big tour has got 15 buses or something like that. Well, there's maybe 12 people a bus. Let's just max it out at that, right? So you do that, man. But at that gig, there's another 400 people probably working, all around in that venue that we don't know. We never meet or we bump into, and, we say hi, and we hope everybody's cool always. But there's a lot of people affected by, by this onslaught of you can't work,
Right.
For the many reasons. It's not just the musicians. It's not just us crew. It's a lot deeper than that.
So check it out. We started wrong. Y'all got these? Huh?
Oh, what is that?
Oh, don't you start.
Where y'all stash at? We can't do a show.
Well, see, Mike always used to keep mine. He would never let me around the stage. So,
I never even have one because, nobody questions me.
You got
I got a few in his box.
This what Simon do. Simon does all these for my shows.
Okay.
Right.
Look, I don't got nothing to hold up, but I designed a couple of them, but
it's awesome.
I need to come here after I design them. I need to come get with y'all so I can get me some. So next time I come on, I have something to,
Yeah.
Let's be honest. If you design them, you could just put the all access on it and come wherever you want to come.
Yeah. Write your own ticket.
You're not gonna say it. We're gonna keep that on the low.
No, nobody, they're not listening.
Yeah. So, Joe and I always have so much fun on a gig. I mean, we laugh the whole time. This brother, make no mistake, this is a bad brother right here. He's a sound engineer. I'm just shocked that you all are so shy because you don't be shy giving me directions and making sure I got my act together. When I'm putting on the show, all of these guys are going to be on me. Roz, where is this? Roz, where is that? We need this. The dressing room. What time is catering? What? But Joe and I, we have a ball working together. I mean, we all have a ball working together. But Joe, I mean, you got
I mean, listen, I get, for me, I just love what I do. I love what I do. I've been in music ever since I was my wife was bringing me all of my trophies. I guess look at this guy. It's like you know what I mean.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and that ain't even all of them. Casey, I'm like, I need a box for all of mine. But I enjoy what I'm very passionate about what I do, and I believe that if you don't have fun doing what you love to do, then why do it? I was in corporate America for years, and I actually had a great job working for Merrill Lynch. And I because I was a musician playing keys for my father's church, and I started off at 10 years old doing cameras and audio. Didn't know what I was doing. So when I made the transition to do it professionally, it was like, man, I got to do this and have fun. So every opportunity that I get to do it, I count it a blessing and an honor. and I just go out there and have a good time, man. I never have a bad moment when I do a show, even when some shows are like very, very, very testing. And Casey, you've been on some of those shows with me where we were like,
Yeah.
you know, so yeah. And Robin, your personality is like one that's, you know, I mean, this is what we say, you're good people. So when you're around good people and you have good energy around you, then it's not hard to have a great time, you know. And then when I get to the show and I see people like Casey there and Greg is there and Mike is there, it just goes from, you know, I don't care what's happening. I'm like, I'm good. I got my big brothers here, so let's go do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna throw it to Alonzo, man. Alonzo, God, we've been working together since 19.
I'm like Mike.
I think we met on the cruise. We were all traveling. You were at the Whispers and then doing all the production, and we've just been connected ever since. So good guy
Yeah,
too.
that's been quite some time ago. Yeah. You broke up, Ross. I didn't hear you.
Oh, I said a good guy to work with and to have in your collection of people that when I call somebody for a show, these are the cats that I want on my show that I know is going to be good. I don't have to worry about anything. It's done, you know.
Yeah, I'm like the rest of the brothers here. You know, I still enjoy this business. You know, every time I go out and every time we get ready to hit the stage, it's like the first time. You know, I'm still having that much fun. And, you know, to get to work with, you know, guys like we have here and yourself, you know, is truly amazing. You know, and it takes the stress off of the ordinary gig. You know, of course, you know, there are shows that we all know. I don't care who's there, the Pope could be there. It's gonna be that kind of day. You know? And, but no, I truly love it. You know, I hate that we're in the time that we're in now, but you know, we're all in it together.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. I'm going there. I'm going to go there. And I just want to say, Greg, man, Greg's in LA. Whenever I come to LA, I'm doing a show. If I need something, he got me. He got me. He even know what I need before I even know what I need. But I guarantee you, he going to show up and, you know, help me out, provide what he can provide. So with that being said, I want to go on and, you know, I'm a corporate booking company, and these guys are what guarantees me a great show. They be kicking my butt, like I said, but they have taught me so much. And artists are not okay right now. Entertainment administration is not okay. Anyone who works in any type of entertainment and support personnel of the arts, front of the house, back of the house, ushers, box office, ticket takers, stagehand, production crew, electricians, lighting, sound, musicians, teamsters, security, wardrobe, bartenders, merchandise, and agents are not okay. So you guys probably had a full calendar of shows lined up for 2020.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, we still got the calendar.
I have that calendar still. It's like a little jabbing thing that pops up and goes, "You're supposed to be here."
Yeah.
Right now. And I can't bring myself to delete it. You know, like it's like
You know what's the crazy part now, Mike, is that you know you'll get a call, and I'll use this date for example. You know, so we're going to do a gig on October 20th. I say, okay, cool, finally, but it's 2021.
sneak attack.
Now, yeah.
Oh wow!
That's the new, you know.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lose hope because I don't want to put it in the universe like that. But you know, at the beginning of this, we all cut tours short. I think it was mid-March when we all came home.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a weird thing for us. Like we live at least 250 days a year on the road, and some of us more and a little bit less. And you always miss the people who are home. We miss birthdays. You know, you try not to, but you miss games. You miss a lot of events and gatherings, whether it's your friends, your family. You miss all that stuff. And,
Right.
and around March, like even your own tour mates that they're on a different tour than you're on, and you miss them. You know, we do a lot of that, pass it in the night kind of thing. And all of a sudden, one day, for everybody just to be home is very eerie and strange. You know, it's very strange. And I really think it's just hitting me now. You know, I'm just, you know, it's sad that all of it, the whole thing. And I can't imagine being, you know, all the way down the pole to, you know, like it's crazy how many people are just out. So let's put this out there on the live thing. She's got my name up there. And if anybody needs food, if anybody needs anything, you know, just reach out, because, you know, we're all in it together. So it's not bad to lend a hand and give whatever we can. You know, that's out there too. Some good organizations. It's a lot of paperwork and stuff, but there's a lot of people trying to do good things for everybody. But in the moment, you know, like literally, if it's that day and you just need something, I mean, just reach out. You know, that's what the good thing about social media. You know, the bad thing is all the other stuff, but the good thing about it is that you could just reach us. You know, I think I speak for a lot of us. If we have it, we share that. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You guys give the crew some hearts. So I want to show our audience what it really is like for you guys out there on the show.
Or a W-9.
Yeah.
A 1099 independent contractors. I mean, it boils down to that.
I'm aware of the independent contractor.
They just coined another title for that.
They coined the title because all of us on 1099, you know, you pay your taxes at the end of the year and it goes a certain way, but not necessarily into that state unemployment fund that you know, when you're doing payroll and all that stuff, that all goes into. So they were making that gig worker to say all these people don't have that, you know, you don't have that unemployment to fall back on. And so here we got to do something about that.
Yeah. And again, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
I was saying in California, especially, they were really going after companies, and it always starts with one, and we won't get into politics too much, but with Uber and Lyft, they were saying that those drivers are not independent contractors, that they need to be employees of Uber or Lyft, and they created those same rules that we've all had for years and years, and you guys all know them. I imagine you guys all have gone through this fight with your accountant and with any employer, and it turns into, you know, if I drive for Uber or Lyft and I don't want to turn my sign on, I don't have to. And if I want to, because I got like 4 hours to kill, and I do, then I do. They get their piece of it, and I get my piece of it, and that's it. It's a definition of an independent contracting situation. So for us, we can't go in, and they can't pay us 8 hours flat, and we can't take a 30-minute break because they said it's time for a break. And we certainly can't, you know, get paid overtime, because when we leave our house and we're gone for 250 days a year, you can imagine what that overtime bill looks like. So, you know, the people need to recognize that as well. And that needs to be really in everybody's mind coming up to these next elections, because that's a big deal across the country. But starting here in California, it's really bad. AB5.
And what employer is going to pay those hours? I mean, at the end of the day, we know what it is. If we sign on to take a 12-hour gig, a 48-hour gig, we know what it is going in usually. And we raised our hand and said, yes, we're going to take this gig. We know what it is.
And we'll get it done.
Yeah, and they get away with it as salary positions, even if you are technically an employee for a shell company, for a band or production company. It's something that comes with the territory.
Yeah,
you got to kind of adjust your pain. And the psychology that I use when I take any of these jobs is to try to refine it down to where, for whatever that salary is, you know, basically you divide how many hours you actually work by how much you make. So some days I'm the manager of McDonald's, and some days I'm flipping the burgers.
That's from the words of Kenny Guys.
Wow.
The longer you're in the building, the less money you make.
Right. So you learn to be efficient, As a stage manager, I work with my guys. I'm not one of those guys that likes to tell you, here's 4 hands. I'm gonna come and ask you how many hands do you need and how long do you need them and what can you get done in the time that you have them.
Wow.
I'm going to be a resource for them. I mean, my job is basically to manage labor, resources, and to manage time. I have department heads that are in charge of stuff. So if somebody wants to know something about sound, I'm going to go to my sound crew chief. He's my paid expert. You know, I'm going to let him do his job, you know, because his guys are going to trust his judgment when it comes to that expertise as opposed to mine. Granted, I started out in the audio, but that's not what I'm being paid for at the time. You know, so this whole argument with employees versus independent contractors is something that an organization that I'm working with now, we're trying to kind of address it because they have this thing called direction and control. I'll use a layman example. If I hired Mike as a roofing contractor to put a new roof on my house, Mike's going to come out. I'd already called Zoe. Zoe came out. He looked. I got his number. But I'm going to see if I can get that number down. So Mike comes out. So I like Mike's number. I like his references. So he's going to give me an estimate to do the roof on my house. And then I'm not going to see Mike again. You know, I might see him come into work at my house, see his guys come. They come at their own time, their own schedule. They supply all their own materials. The direction and control is coming from Mike's company. You know, at the end of the deal, Mike comes to me. He gives me a bill. I look at the work. I sign off on it. I give him a check. I don't supply the materials. I don't supply the transportation. I don't give him any instruction about how he does that. And therein lies the issue with what happens to guys in this industry being misclassified as an independent contractor when you don't have that direction and control. And the IRS has a test. You can go down and answer these questions. Will tell you whether or not you're actually an independent contractor or if you're an employee. A lot of people are misclassified. They're being given directions every day. Somebody's buying them a plane ticket to get them out on a gig. They're handed an itinerary that makes them accountable for a time or a schedule. There's no independence in that at all. You know, it's very important to know the distinction between the two, that if you make a decision to go out misclassified, that you're at risk.
For sure.
If something happens to you, you know, are you insured? You know, they could write you off as an independent contractor. Oh, I didn't know he didn't have the proper insurance, and then you're ass out. So I kind of understand where they're trying to go in California. I think it crosses the lines because I don't really know about those industries. I know about this industry. I have been misclassified in the past on some of my jobs. You know, if I'm going to be independent, then I'm going to give you a contract and I'm going to tell you how I'm going to do this gig. And more than likely, a lot of times I'm not going to have that gig.
Well, part of that is I agree wholeheartedly with everything that you just said. But what about, so you, Zoe, even Greg, when we're tour managing, you know, we do that. We assign everybody where you're going to go. I bring in the vendor, you bring in the vendor. We do that. We're organizing. We are the independent contractor hired by someone to head this whole thing. So it is a line, and there is pieces of it, like I said, that cross. And I don't mind if somebody wants me to go out there and mix. I'll be cool. You know what I mean? Sleep in a little bit. Don't have to do anything, but you know. But if you're that guy, and there's a lot of us out there who are that guy or that girl, that lady. I don't know what the proper term is, but we book it. We tell the artists where to go. We do all of that stuff on their behalf. And to me, that's the distinction. So I wholeheartedly agree with everything that you just said. And there is some lines in this business that they're trying to blur. Yeah. It turns into a different thing. And again, I need to reiterate, California is one of the worst offenders at the moment. You know, It's been a thing whereby you can easily say, hey, airfare is part of my contract. You know what I mean? If you don't get me there, I'm not going.
I was going to touch on that there. I thought it was determined on not what you do, it's what you make and how you make it. You know, because some, as independent contractors, you know, we get some jobs where, you know, there is no paper trail. We'll call it paper. And then you get jobs where, you know, you're paying taxes through your artist or a production company.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how I thought the independent contractor was defined.
Well, and I just want to say this too, because when I think with us and what we do, we get mislabeled because, Alonzo, what you just said. Sometimes, well, I know when I first started, it was we got paid cash.
Yeah.
So it was kind of tough because
paper.
Well, we got paid. Yeah, we got paid paper.
Right.
And when you now start to dive into business, because it is the music business, and I think a lot of us sometimes forget about that, and we get excited about the job, the gig, the pay, and it's like we get paid paper really fast, and we get a lot of it. And for a lot of people coming into, because think about what we do, think about what we do, and think about what we do, and think about the people that we work with. You know, everybody not business savvy and don't really understand, and we do depend on the artist to kind of, you know, walk us through it and say, okay, this is what you're getting paid, and it doesn't matter what you're doing, because to the IRS, they don't care what you're doing. It's how you file. So for all of
in that classification, like absolutely. I said, understanding what you're getting into before you get into it.
Lance, real quick before you get into that. When I first started off, I came in and I was happy to be there, and I was getting paid cash after the show, and it was great. As my career elevated, I started working for people who kind of had their business together, and it was like, okay, my taxes last year, I didn't even pay taxes last year because it was all cash. So now I got on a tour with Lionel Richie and CeeLo Green, and I'm making more money than I ever made before, and they're taking out taxes. I'm like, okay, that's great, because I don't have to worry about it. So now I get to the end of the year, and it's like, okay, that was cool. All right, so what do I do with all the other people that so it was, I had to get educated really quick on the music business, and I went to my I don't want to say my elders, but I went to the people who I could go and talk to and kind of understand how it worked. Lionel sat me down and talked to me about it. It was a wonderful conversation. It was, you got to become your own business. You got to become. Take this $500 and go get pick a name, do something.
Absolutely.
So that's what I wanted to ask. My question was, so independent contractor versus self-employed.
It's the same.
That's the same thing. It's being an employee, or it's like the paperwork, 1099 at the end,
yes,
in a W-2. But in the beginning, it's a W-4 and a W-9. When you fill out your initial paperwork, you're establishing what your relationship is to the job. So
to that artist.
To answer what Joseph said, is a proper way to do it. Get yourself an EIN number.
Yes.
So that when you do receive cash, you have the option of being able to properly report it. It's nothing worse than having an IRS beef for underreporting of your taxes.
Absolutely.
That's the
quarterly taxes. So I have a little technology company that I created back in 2006. So if I do take a cash gig, I have a way that I can report it. Also, I have a way to report all of my assets. People buy tools, things of that nature. You can file a Schedule C. IRS long form with that, and you could write off your assets, your tools, the use of your second car, second phone. You could write off. There's a bunch of things that you can do, but you kind of learn how to protect yourself. But I think when people initially come into the business, there's a lot of stuff they don't know. And one of the things I'm really keen on trying to share going forward is financial literacy.
Yes.
Ways to invest in yourself. Simple things like people who smoke cigarettes that spend $40 for a carton of cigarettes, that for $10 a month they can buy life insurance because they don't have none.
Right.
Oh, and every now and then you get the news, hey, can you throw some money towards this GoFundMe? Homeboy can't get buried. Family don't have no money.
Yeah.
So financial literacy is something that we could all benefit from when it comes to setting yourself up on a gig. Is understanding the significance and the risk, liability versus transaction, whether or not you want to try to push to be an employee and fill out a W-4, W-4, or if you want to be classified, as independent and file that W-9, but it's saying, the W-9, you should set yourself up where, liability insurance is not really that expensive if you want to get yourself insured. But unless you have that direction and control, like in Mike's case, if you're putting together a show, it's a little different than being under somebody that is putting together the show. The limitations of that direction and that control. Liability versus transaction. And I don't mind telling certain people, like, I really appreciate you calling me, but maybe I'm not the right person for this job. You learn how to say no.
Yeah.
Once you put yourself out there,
Yep.
and something happens, I'm not going to name no names. I've seen people get injured that had to go home.
That's correct. With nothing.
They lose their job, lose their income,
their livelihood,
and then they get a medical bill.
Yes.
Because they're not covered by the insurance. So, like I say, liability versus transaction.
In whatever state you're in as well, you're hurt in that state with that. It's
what's the old adage? All money is not good money.
All money is not.
And then you got to get back home.
They'll send you home.
Usually they'll send you home.
They'll send you home.
But you know what? In most cases, they will.
In most cases, it depends. So listen, let's say hi to some folks. I know Joe, your wife's on. Lonzo, your wife's on. We got to say hello. My girl Desiree.
My wife's on.
Oh, Mike's wife's on.
My wife's next door in the room.
Oh, she's in the next room too, but she's on.
Walt Taylor. This is just an awesome guy here.
What's up, Walt?
We're gonna do some stuff with him. Glenn, I think he said he's a
Glenn
bigger.
Gordon. Yeah, Glenn.
Oh, y'all know him. Okay, y'all know Glenn. Okay.
Glenn got you back.
And real quick, Roslyn, because I think that whole section that we were just discussing, especially right now with the climate, how it is. Casey, first of all, I want to say I am very, very, very happy with Roadies of Color because you do offer information.
We're gonna get into that. I'm saving that for 1 second. I'm saving it. I want him to tell us to introduce it to people that don't know. So Roy, hey Roy, how you doing?
What's up, Roy?
Roberta, very informative. So we're that's what we're trying to do is give folks some information.
Peel the curtain back.
Hey, KC, I just want to mention when you were speaking about the independent contractor and how to, with your EIN numbers and stuff like that. I incorporated myself many, many years ago, but what I didn't realize then, I do realize it now, it's not about today when you throw that cash away. It's about tomorrow, which is the situation that we're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
When you do incorporate yourself and you do it the right way, and especially for the young people, because you get the cash and you get a lot of cash, like Joe was saying.
Yeah.
You want to just go spend. But there's going to be a day like today.
Yep.
And tomorrow. So if you put it away, you can go to the unemployment office and draw your money because there's a trail.
That's correct. That's correct.
If you just throw it away, like most of us have in the past, you can't do anything.
And it's also just important as citizens of the United States where we live and we work to pay your taxes, man. There's there's a workaround. Everybody's got them. I mean, we all got to do what we got to do to make it happen. But this is part of the issue is when you're getting paid cash under the table and somebody's not reporting that, then that's a lot of, that's mostly the problem with the economics of our, society as we know it. A lot of communities are damaged that way. And if you just take that money and you pay yourself, and then you've got a trail, like you said. That's the best way to do it. And at the end of the day, nothing is worse. I remember starting out, I mean, not really, because it was a really long time ago, but you're getting paid cash, and then all of a sudden you get that 1099 at the end of the year, and you're like, what the hell is this?
Right.
What is this?
Yeah, what you want?
I thought it was under the table.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna report that.
And now you're on the radar. And the IRS.
See, I was speaking of the cash that you don't get the 1099 for, because if you get a 1099, that's a paper trail within itself.
Right.
But we've all been on gigs where you don't get
not till the end.
Like I was saying earlier, when you can. One of the things you have to be careful too is if you set up a company, like for example, where I live in New Jersey, I limit the amount of cash that I deal with because, like I said, I have to report it. So one of the things that I do is I file New Jersey quarterly state tax. If I don't make anything, I file 0. If I make something, because I do little odd jobs around here, like I'll go look at somebody's church sound system. Maybe put in a small surveillance system. These are like small jobs. We're not talking about tens of thousands of dollars. That I can stay current with that. And I have a way to report that. And then things that I use on the job, like I said, I can file a Schedule C, depreciable assets, maintenance on the second car. My second phone is basically free or whatever. It's just mostly for accounting purposes, because technically, if you're totally self-employed or classified as self-employed, which is unique in the situation with the pandemic, I'll get to that in a second, is you legally can't collect unemployment and be self-employed. You can't be a major shareholder in an S corporation and collect unemployment. It's either or. Now, what's unique in this situation with the pandemic, and a lot of people are not aware of it, FEMA has what's called the Disaster Unemployment Assistance Program. So any place that the President of the United States declares a disaster area, emergency money becomes available that you can request it. Now, what they did in the case of the pandemic is they renamed it to the PUA, or Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program. This was the money that they came up with from the CARES Act, and it covered the gig workers, which is, like I say, rare. Normally, people can't collect unemployment, but this is something supplemental to unemployment. A lot of states had to rewrite their systems to accommodate the people that were getting this extra assistance. The PUA ran out the 31st, actually the week before the last week of July. And the executive order that the president just signed is a program called the Lost Wage Assistance Program, which is another FEMA program. And so far, well, one of the things that's different is each state has to actually apply for it. And the states up till today, there's 31 states. My state just signed it today, New Jersey, but there were 30 states as of this morning. They have to sign up for it. And once they get approved, they're able to issue out $300 a week. One of the caveats that makes us a little different than PUA is you have to qualify for, this is where the gig workers get screwed, you have to qualify, your unemployment, your state unemployment has to be equal to or in excess of $100 a week. So I know friends of mine that are getting as little as $73 a week unemployment, they won't qualify to get this extra $300 a week. And then it's up to the state whether they want to add an additional 100. So basically what the president did was he cut the $600 in half. It's like a take it or leave it. Then he left it up to the states. You have to ask for it. So the states have to file an application with FEMA. There's an approval process that has to happen with it. Then there's, like I said, a criteria that you have to be able to collect unemployment. So If you're a corporate person, if you're a 1099 person, you automatically don't qualify because you can't collect unemployment under that system. It's different than PUA, where they added a PUA for gig workers into the unemployment system that says even if you're self-employed that you can get paid. So they're flipping the script.
It's just a face value move, man, to make it
And
look
then
cool
last
for
but
a
not
minute.
least, I want to go on and on, but last but not least, I think, and I might need to be corrected, I think there's only like $44 million in the pot. So it's a first come, first serve. So whatever sign on, I'm going to have first access to that money.
Isn't it like some 50,000 people or something like that? That's going
it's first come, first serve. Whatever states go online and start issuing it, it's there till it runs out. They're saying that maybe it might last 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
$300 a week. And there's 31 states that officially have actually, when we get around to the other conversation on the website, there's actually a link that explains it a little better than I can explain it. And there's actually a chart that will show you which states have applied and where in the process they're at with the application.
It's grim. Let's put it that way.
Information, Casey. Great information.
Yeah,
It's
so
grim.
there are thousands of warehouses that have equipment that is just sitting. They're not moving. All those cases that we just showed you guys in what it takes to put up a show, they're just sitting there. I know, Greg, your warehouse, you've done some things. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that? I want to make sure.
When this whole thing kicked in, we all had hope and aspirations that this might be over by now, and we're here now, and nothing's changed. My guys actually came up with the idea. We had all the lighting rigs and truss, PA, deck, all sitting around in the shop. We had open space because we moved some equipment to another building. So they came up with the idea, hey, why don't we just build a space here with the hopes of doing a few concerts, virtual concerts, or some of our corporate clients, bring them in to do a stream. It's been initially was a little bit slow going, but because myself and our main video guy, our relationships with many bands and artists managers, production companies and such, we've been able to do a couple streams a week, and bands that come in and actually just record their videos. We've had artists like Tanashi, a lot of rock bands. We actually just signed up Rancid today. They're coming in a couple weeks to do a video. Animals as Leaders, quite a few bands. I might even have, I won't even say her name. We might have another artist coming in this week. Had a couple comedians come in. Everyone's trying to figure out how to navigate this new landscape we're in. A lot of them have to see it to recalibrate their brains on how they can still make money and provide a service at the end of the day for their fans. And some of them are doing very well at it. There's a lot of them that are still challenged because they don't have the social media footprint, but they're learning fast. A lot of them realize that, social media is a big deal, and we can't be a part of it.
Hello.
So, we need to get our followers up. Some of them have 500, and others have 8 million. Whatever.
So basically, in a nutshell, your studio you have now is available for virtual shows. If an artist wants to come in and do a show, but the crew is then left out too, right? Because it doesn't require a crew, or does it require a crew?
My crew the venue is completely self-contained. I have front of house, I have monitors.
See, that's the thing, yeah.
Lighting tech, the streaming tech, video. I have camera ops and video director. So they literally just have to walk in. They bring their backline if they choose to. Otherwise, they can rent my backline that's already in the building.
Go to Gearheads.
Or go to
Okay. There you go. There you go. There you go. So Alonzo has a warehouse full of backline gear as well that people can still get, and you know, right. So this means that artists aren't bringing you anything anytime soon because they can't, and neither can any of the people that make it happen behind the scenes. So for those of you that don't get it and are not part of the industry, for those that's not in the entertainment sector, the crew. We hope this conversations today will enlighten some of you about the concert industry and the impact on the lives of the crew. I'd like to bring in Lance to discuss some options available with his organization.
In 2009, myself and a gentleman named Bill Reeves co-founded a social network called Roadies of Color United. Social network was just kind of taking a foothold in the live entertainment industry, and different sites were popping up. And there were, the usual trade magazines, but there seemed to be a disconnect when it came to including people of color. It was kind of difficult to sign up to some of these sites, social network sites. If you were an alien that came from another planet, this is my favorite thing that Bill Reeves always says, and you read one of those trade magazines, PSLM magazine, Front of House magazine, Polestar, Billboard, Rolling Stone, you would think other than the artists, there were no black people in the business. There's this misnomer that black people can't do, or people of color can't do country or rock and roll. So we felt the need to create our own community. We thought about a couple of different names, but then Roadies of Color United, was what we decided. And then it has a nice little acronym. You pronounce the ROCU as Rock You. That's the proper pronunciation. But we persevered now 12 years. We started out for the longest time, I think maybe we had like 350 subscribers. We were initially on the Ning platform, which is something like Facebook, except that you could actually build it. All of our subscribers had their own custom pages. There was chat facilities. We could do mass email blasts. So it was a good kind of little connect. Eventually in 2016, somebody suggested that we start a Facebook presence, which we did. We have a Facebook page now. We have a Facebook group page, which makes pretty much the bulk of our social network. Most of our social activities happen there. And then we have a website, roadiesofcolorunited.com. We have a sister site, which we hope to launch sometime by the end of the month or early September, because we're now migrating from being just a social network of approximately, I think it's like 1,080 people or so subscribed right now. So we've gone from 350 when we were in a Ning platform to 800 something on the Facebook platform. And then after we had our 10th anniversary earlier this year, seems like a long time ago, but believe it or not, in February, we had our 10th anniversary. And then we wanted to make a statement. We did it at Stone Mountain, Georgia. We brought a bunch of black people to Stone Mountain, and we had a hell of a good time in Stone Mountain. And we also did our first annual conference. It was a series of roundtables, panels. We had quite a few distinguished people. We had topics like active shooter. I don't know if anybody would think about what do you do if somebody pulls out a gun and starts shooting at your event. So we thought it would be a good topic. Eric came and did the presentation for that. We had Janae Thornton do a financial wellness speak. Bill Reeves, David Norman, and Ronnie Stevenson did a panel on production, or actually tour management. We had a banquet. It was pretty cool. We had a banquet. We had a big celebration, and then we also did something I wanted to do for a long time. One of the things that was lacking with the trade magazines I mentioned was we never get nominated for anything. You know, I could name all the people that won Pernelli's on one hand, people of color, and I think I got a finger and a thumb left. And I still got a whole other hand left.
Yeah.
Lack of recognition. So one of the things we do on Roadies of Color, each month we try to recognize somebody, try to incorporate a female. And even though we're called Roadies of Color, the whole idea of Roadies of Color is to create a situation of diversity and inclusion where someday there might not be a need for a Roadies of Color, because it really shouldn't matter. But we didn't want to make the mistake that everybody else did. So there are several white people that are supportive of our cause. You know, it's about like-minded people. I think in the advent of the George Floyd murder, it's called attention, and the nation has a bit more sensitivity. I mean, when we talk about diversity and inclusion, the inclusion is starting to happen now. All of those magazines I mentioned, they did featured articles on Roadies of Color and what our vision is and what we're trying to do. We just did a video with Crew Nation. Bill got nominated as an Impact 50 with Polestar. We've been in touch with a lot of production managers who do rock and roll and do country that are interested in finding qualified people of color to diversify their productions. We just recently had an open letter published in Polestar and PSLN magazine, pretty much calling the industry out, you know, and it's signed by some people that when this all is said and done and we start back up, we're going to see who keeps their promises and bring some people of color into some of these productions. I'll name a couple of people that I feel really confident in my conversations. Been talking to Bill Leibody with Coldplay, Chris Groton with Justin Bieber. You know, to name a couple of people who I feel pretty comfortable, and we've created some collaborations. We think that getting people educated is a good thing. And I mentioned the sister site. It's going to be called rockyou.tours. This is where our professional association will be hosted from. We're in the process of filing to become a 501c6 professional association. And at that point, we'll introduce 2 levels of membership. Full members, basically the criteria is a minimum of 2 years cumulative road experience, so that at least everybody comes in on an even playing field as far as time. And we're talking cumulative time, not that you did a tour last year, year before last, but over a period of time that you have at least 2 years of cumulative road experience in good standing. And we want to vet our members so that whatever you list yourself as, we're going to check up on it, because the idea is our membership list is going to be introduced as a database that when people say, where can I find qualified people of color? They can be right here. You know, come check us out. If you fall short of the 2 years of experience, you can come in as an associate member. A little slightly difference in the membership fee, and one of the OGs will mentor you to help you get your time. And part of this relationship and incentive is the relationships we're trying to establish. There's an organization called EVEN, that's the Entertainment Vocational Educational Network, the Event Safety Alliance, any place that has training that we can turn our people onto. We're trying to establish some relationships with some vendors. Joseph will appreciate this. Being able to have access to consoles and new technology when it comes out, to be trained, you know, how to do these things. We'd like to see some more black riggers. I mean, what's going to happen if Gerald, Glenn, and Green Bay step out of the picture? Anybody else to name some more black riggers? See? We need to, you know, some of these other skills, we need to kind of step it up. And then we have to be able to pass the torch. I mean, if you die today or tomorrow, it's all going to go with you. So why not share it? I mean, usually you can tell how large somebody is by how much they're willing to share. They're not scared.
Right.
When I used to do sound, people used to always come and say, they're going to mix on my console. Oh, I know, I can't do this, I can't do that. And it's no, you got it twisted. You can do whatever you want to do. If there's something here you don't know how to use, I'll show you how to use it. The only thing you can't do is be as loud as my act.
Right.
I have to trust you with that. So we have been our own worst enemy in this industry. This is how we lost control of some of our big productions.
Okay, so
I don't want to name the acts, but I'm just saying we have a lot of white production managers that oversee black productions. We have to take a back seat, that we have to kind of work our way back into our rightful place. But one of the things we have to do is we have to find a better get along concept than what we had in the past.
That's in everything.
Yeah, the worst thing will happen is nothing will happen. But the journey of 1,000 miles starts with a first step.
First step. And Lance, can I just say something about what he said, Brian, real quick?
Yes.
Because Lance, you, I love it because when having that platform to now be, I don't want to say showcase, but showcase, so you can get bigger and better gigs. One of the things that I did realize, and I had to learn it with the bumps, I took the bumps and the bruises, was, preparation is the key to life. So being prepared for that moment, because you only really get, even in what we do, you only get that one opportunity to make a very good impression. And you talk about mindset. You said, it's a group of like-minded people. And one of the biggest things that I try to instill now in a lot of the younger engineers and the younger production managers, it's not about you being able to run a console, because that's easy for us. We can press the button, we can do this, but it's how you carry yourself when that opportunity comes. Because if Lance is gonna give me the opportunity to go and get on a bigger stage, then I gotta show up. But I can't show up like, I don't know how I should conduct myself and condone myself and how I should carry myself, because to your point, Lance, when I first started, it was, if you didn't have a ponytail and ripped jeans, then you were not an engineer. And it was like, I could not grasp the concept, because I got on the Heritage 3000 in Canada, were involved for my first gig and didn't know how to use it, because I just came out of the church where we had like this Mackie board, and it was like, nobody looked at me and said, oh, this little black guy can really, do sound. No, it was, who are you? And it was, it has to be standards that we now uphold and we just walk in. And some of the biggest issues that I'm having with trying to help these younger engineers to understand that is, first of all, you got to believe that you belong there. And then after that, you gotta set some standards. You can't be the guy playing when it's time to do work, because now you're gonna fall into the stereotype of, see, they don't know what they're doing. You can't be the guy that's gonna, be the last person to get the drums up because you're over there just loafing. Like, there is a standard that we gotta uphold, which is why, Lance, when we did that tour, that Charlie Wilson tour, I was right on your heels, and whatever you said, I was there. I don't care if you pulled me to the side and you had to chastise me, and it wasn't like I was doing anything bad, but it was like, okay, Joseph, try it this way, do it this way. And what I'm finding out with a lot of the cats that's coming in now, they don't receive that. And it's like, it's needed, because, see, Lance, you visioned something for me that I couldn't even see. So I have to take that, your wisdom in. And it was like, okay, listen, this is it for me. Lance is talking, and I don't have time to put it on my phone. He's telling me, I need my pen. Where's my paper? This is the guy that's in this industry as long as
I don't go nowhere without this. I told you.
So
Lance carries it and writes notes.
But I'll be honest with you, Lance, and I believe in giving you your flowers while you can smell them. When I was
right,
absolutely.
It's not like something I just started doing. Short pencil is better than long memory.
Right.
Well, let me say this: as a woman, when I got out there, I was running around frantic, trying to prove myself that I could do the job instead of being comfortable in my shoes. And I think I've taken away something from all of you guys. Mike, Alonzo, you guys have helped schooled me along the way. I mean, I've been doing this for some 30 years now, but I've worked every area, production, lighting, rigging, getting people to do all that to where now I can just book the corporate shows and entrust on you guys to handle the rest. Otherwise, I was standing over you, making sure you all had your method of how you were going to do it. But for me, I was frantic. I needed to please my client and I needed to please the artist. I need y'all to get it done. And so I've calmed down a whole lot because of that.
I think you got that from Mike.
Yeah, I would tell you. Something that I learned that's real important is this is one of those industries where you never really stop learning. People that think they know it all, I'm usually a little terrified from them.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do the same show every day, different city. You have to have that open mind to learn something. And a lot of times, man, it always bothers me when people are like condescending when it comes to stagehands. Mm-hmm. I always say, road guy versus stagehand, who's got the better hand? Stagehand's got health and welfare benefits. Most roadies don't have that. That's where you're just talking about putting something away. They got health and welfare. They got a pension. They got health insurance. And you're talking
about, go home.
But you're talking about a guy out of those 250 days that Mike mentioned, and that's not everybody. I mean, only seasoned veterans get those 250, but the average stagehand, he's going to work almost 250, 300 days out of the year. He's going to have experience on every level of stagecraft that you can imagine. So who has the better hand? So my point I'm making is a lot of times if you go into somebody's building and they bring in a lot of shows, you got to be open to, they might have a better way than you think you do when you come into their house with your show.
Yeah, right.
Their house. And you got to meet them halfway. You're helping to perpetuate their livelihood. They're helping to perpetuate your livelihood.
Absolutely.
And as professionals to professionals, when you're talking about being business, we have to kind of deal with it on that level. You know what I mean? And the only time that we should look down on somebody is to help bring them up.
Absolutely.
We have to all kind of check ourselves because we're all a certain kind of way, a certain kind of competitiveness. But when it comes to doing this, we have to rethink. And now is a good time to do some of this rethinking. Everybody got a lot of time. I've been taking classes online and doing all kinds of, those kind of things. But this is where we're going to get ahead. And hopefully, like I said, once we get this professional association established, the dialogue, we have to keep talking.
Absolutely.
You can learn from a dummy what not to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, I'm just saying that, it works all kinds of ways. It depends. Everything's a matter of perspective.
Yeah.
So that is very, very good information that you all have shared. And if you know anyone in the arts industry or support personnel of the arts, reach out to them, give them a virtual hug, and make sure we all support each other till the end.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Tip these guys online if possible. Tip these guys online if possible. I'm asking them now to put up their cash apps. These are guys who are too proud to ask for any kind of help. So,
I knew all that, but
anyway, donate. Donate to the arts organization and keep arts alive. Our hearts and soul need it now more than ever. I want to thank the crew for coming on tonight with me for such an important conversation. I'm wishing you each continued success. We need you guys. You are not forgotten. I was sent a message from JT Taylor, Kool and the Gang, and he just wanted to send his thanks to the crew. He said, you guys are the first to arrive and last to leave, sometimes directly off the tour bus, straight to the gig. Sleep deprived and sometimes
cold shower.
Food as well.
You get a shower.
Road dogs.
Yeah, that's true.
and he says thanks.
Awesome. JT, you're one of a
Thank you.
kind.
You are very welcome. Because if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have been able to go out with Kool and the gang. So thank you, brother.
Thank you, Roz, for having us on, man. It's been fun.
Yeah, thank
Absolutely.
you all. Thank you guys all. So I just want to say one other thing that well, that concludes our show for today, episode number 13. Woo! It feels so good to offer up help and assistance to others. So I challenge you all this week to call a senior citizen or just a friend you haven't talked to and check on them. Next week, you guys, we're going to kick off football season and my birthday week with one of the greatest running backs ever, Marcus Allen. Come on back. Tell a
Marcus.
friend, bring a friend.
Hey, I want to real quick say, what up, DJ? Dwayne Jones says, hey, everybody.
I saw the dog on there.
And Roslyn, before we leave, because I know a lot of the industry guys are watching, and I just want to say this before we leave to whoever is out there who is not, gigging, and I know it's all of us. Don't be discouraged. This is a time that's going to pass. But what we really need to do is learn to diversify, learn to, make those same shifts that we did on the road. If the mic wasn't working, then we learned how to figure it out. Do that, apply that with your life. We love what we do, and the industry may never come back like it was, and it's not because of what we're in. But here's the thing. Stay faithful, stay true to yourself, believe in your greatness. That's what BIYG stands for, believe in your greatness.
Fantastic.
Because that's something that they can't take from us. They can take us out of the stadiums, they can take us out of the arenas, but they can't take our greatness away from us. So believe in that. We got here because we plowed through. We didn't know how to do it. We figured it out and we made it work, and we got to do it again. And here supporting. Lance he's giving you information. Mike is giving you. We're here to support. Reach out. There's avenues that you can take. There's grants. There's funding. Just reach out because we're all in this thing together. But believe in your greatness. Shop BIYG. You can get a shirt.
Gene,
Nice.
I like that.
Gene is over in China, but he
What
used
up,
to
Gene?
be Freddie Jackson's keyboard player, musical director. So he said, "What do y'all prefer, roadie or crew?"
Answer both.
I prefer a paycheck.
A paycheck.
Answer to both.
Hey, Roz. I
Yes.
want to say thank you again. This is a great platform that you have.
Thank you. Yes.
I can speak for the rest of the guys. We appreciate this opportunity to voice our concerns and speak about our industry, as everybody doesn't know what's going on inside of here, and you're helping to bring that attention to everybody, and I appreciate that. And it's a wonderful platform we got.
Wow, absolutely. Thank you guys. I was inspired by a post, your post actually, that wanted to make sure that people understood that people in our industry is not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not, and we are,
Right.
Yeah.
There you go, Mike. We're not and we are. Don't get fooled by the grocery stores opening up.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, and you guys are so proud. But again, we're all in this together. We're out of work. We don't know when we're going back to work.
And if you got a wife, a girlfriend, just a significant other, doesn't even matter. Just make sure that you make sure that they know that you appreciate them at this time.
Absolutely.
This is a time I think I've never, it's been a few decades maybe that I've been home. I've never been home this much. It's insane. So for my family, I know they're suffering.
For me, it's a good thing, kind of reinventing our relationships. I'm not mad.
But KC, we all as roadies, every day, every show, I need some time off. I got to take a vacation. I need some time off.
Yeah.
I
Nobody ever
know,
thought
right?
that we
Right.
would get this kind of time off.
But
Why
this is
you
a
have
lot
to
right
time
now.
off?
This is overtime
You
off.
know, Alonzo, a lot of that have, like, I hear you say that, right?
Yeah.
And I would look at Lance and I would look at Huggy and I would look at guys like yourself and y'all would say, well, I'm taking a vacation. And I'm sitting here like, how the heck are they going on vacation?
Exactly. I got to go to my next
Your
gig.
job is a vacation.
As you get older and as you kind of get in this, you know, a lot more, you understand that you do have to take time for yourself. Like, it'll be there.
Yeah.
But take care of yourself, because we
Yeah.
have lost a lot of good people.
Right.
And I'm not saying like they left the industry. I'm talking about
Yeah.
they're no longer here
Yeah.
because they didn't take the time to just say, I need some time for me. And
Peace of mind is priceless, man.
absolutely. And
It is.
this time that we got here just to sit in not doing anything, take
Well,
that time for yourself. Figure it out.
I was drinking. I mean, I'll be honest.
Yeah, I'm probably right behind you.
That's why I created this show, because I wanted to stay connected with the industry. I can't go out right now. There's fires. We can't even open our window. So I thank you guys for giving me this opportunity to, keep my mind working and thinking and connected in the industry that we love so much.
Thank
So-
you.
Thank
And-
you for
and-
having us.
And to all you gentlemen, any chance that I get to work with you is a blessing in my heart. So
Absolutely.
Just
man.
stay in the office, man. That's all I ask.
Let me just ask one more question though. So in this virtual world, how can the crew still work? I mean, Greg, you addressed that, but as far as what you're doing, but what can it? I mean, so I know if somebody calls me to do a virtual show, I did a virtual DJ. The sound was the internet sound; it wasn't right. Do we need to call upon you guys to do something like that?
we're trying that. I'm producing with my wife. We got a couple galas coming up that we normally would do in a for the city or at a big event, an arena or an auditorium, and we're gonna try to come up with some creative ways to make that pop just as much as you would in that room, because these are the galas and I do a lot of stuff, or I think we all do, right? Nonprofits and things like that. We're all kind of in that vein. So there's not a huge budget when we're doing that show at the auditorium, and I like to call bang for the buck. So the experience, I guess your legacy can always be that you gave everything that you had, you know what I mean? And you found it for those people who didn't know how to find it. And so it elevates it. Well, that causes people to get excited and toss money. Well, they still need that money for those nonprofits and these things. Habitat for Humanity is one of our big ones. And so, we'll try to do it. So I called on some friends, and that's all you could do. But I'm so tired of like this, the Zoom meeting looking thing, And so it's how do we come up with something more creative than that, and that's moving. It has to be fun, and then the people, all the entertainers all the artists are looking to entertain. I think there's just not a way to monetize it, and it's.
We'll talk about it, Mike. We'll talk about it. I can help you out with that. But that's one vehicle that I've created for a lot of the artists. I work with a streaming company, Veeps, that's owned by Benji and Joe Madden from Good Charlotte Rock Band.
Yep.
So and there's other platforms too, but so many artists were just doing streams from their bedroom and taking tips and giving their show away.
It's actually going to monetize now. Artists can actually charge for their performances on Facebook.
Yes.
Approved.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's a real thing now.
Yeah, and you know what though, even with that's great for the artists, because that's going to give them revenue. And then there's a lot like for a hand. I mean, like it does absolutely nothing for them. But here's the thing. I think you said it, Mike. Just be creative.
Gotta be.
The artist is not the only person that's creative. We are creative too. Greg, you turned your warehouse into a streaming. Be creative. Think outside the box. This is not the end all be all.
This industry is going to evolve out of this mess. And we have to improvise and we have to adapt
We have to.
This drive-in performance thing is taking off. I've seen a couple of different other concepts. Instead of bringing in cars, they have little riser setups for like this Van Morrison show that's coming up.
Right.
Yeah.
Some people have made it real simple. They just took bike racks and turned it into horseshoes.
Yep.
This is your station. This is your VIP section.
Right. I think as this thing evolves, they're going to get smart. I mean, if I can sit here and figure some of it out, I'm sure they can.
Right.
Instead of having to move a bunch of trucks around, you just hang PAs and lights and video rigs in buildings, and you supersize them so that they can be used in any kind of configuration. So now you've eliminated a lot of extra people.
Load in, load out. Yep.
The sound system's already in the building. The lighting system's already in the building. The video system's already in the building. So now you're just moving personnel around and personal equipment.
Yep. I think a big part of it is also you took the safety course, the health and safety course, and all of that stuff, right? And a big part of everything is the personal responsibility, which would be on us as production managers, as tour managers. It's going to be on promoters to ensure, because it's an unpopular thing to say, but people don't get it and they don't care. They get out in the public and act a fool.
No, compliance is everything.
And that means extra staff. That means extra people in the aisles and keeping people back and keeping people at bay. So, I mean, I'm trying to think of ways to keep more people working and get more people working and create those new positions that are going to be needed. You know what I mean? It's important. And that responsibility has to fall back on us, and it has to fall on those promoters.
The promoters definitely have to be on board, and more importantly, the artists have to be on board. I just did COVID-19 compliance officer certification. I have that. Me and my wife just finished up the contact tracing. I think the contact tracing course is a good follow-up for the compliance because it gets a little bit more into the nature of the virus. And, if you're going to try to protect people from it, better
you gotta know what it is,
understand it. Film and TV industry in California is mandatory that on all TV and movie sets that there be at least one compliance officer. I think that there's going to probably be some variant of a compliance officer that gets integrated when we start opening back up. Mm-hmm. One of the things I watched a webcast earlier today is there are so many different opening guides. OSHA has a guide, IATSE has a guide, each venue has a guide, each locality has a guide. We have to come to some kind of common consensus, what the directives are going to be, what the priorities are going to be. Like in the case of compliance officer for COVID compliance officer for film and movies, it's a department head level position. Mm-hmm. It's probably somebody who's going to have to work with security. Yeah, it's a dirty job. I mean, you're talking about somebody who's got to come in the morning, and screen all of the union people before they're allowed to go to work. There's a possibility. Then there's a liability part of it. Like if I screen you walk in and I say you can't work today.
Right.
That's right.
Somebody's going to go get their lawyer. They're going to try and sue somebody. So there's a lot of things that still have to be figured out, but that doesn't mean, like I say, we can't stop trying. Like Joseph said, we have to look into our creativity. I mean, we have done some amazing stuff. I mean, some of the things that we do that people don't know about to make these shows happen will blow your mind. I mean, if you could see what Mike did in San Tropez, I'm gonna send you some pictures. I'm gonna send you some pictures, Rob. I got a lot of pictures.
I was just thinking, we had the guys
But I want to know, what about the cruise industry?
Holding the curtain because the wind was blowing, remember, like before the show, because they didn't want anything to be revealed, and they didn't take into account that the ocean was coming in. So at 5 or 6 o'clock when they opened the doors, and you got all these the high end, it's the A-list coming in on the red carpet, and these curtains are massive. I mean, they're 50 feet long, and they're concealing this whole setup. Nobody knows, it's a surprise. So the wind picked up, and we had to have guys like literally hang on the curtains because we couldn't sandbag. Nothing would hold them in place. So those guys had to sit for like an hour and 15 minutes holding curtains.
Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. I know when I first walked in there and I seen it, it was like, oh my God. And then he mentioned about the one side of the stage left.
Yes.
If you look down, I mean, that's what you was doing. You was looking down, and you didn't want to be the guy to fall off of
I
there.
don't think I could have did that gig.
You would have.
It was a great stage manager on there, and
He was awesome.
to the T, you know. So,
everybody was on point. You guys ran a very, very tight ship.
Yeah, they do. They do. They always do.
I just drink.
Rosin, you asked about the crew. What did you say?
Yeah, because I mean, that's our thing. We're booked on 2021. Dave Kaz out to Spain, Morocco.
My Tom Joyner cruise got canceled.
Yeah. Well, he actually had a stroke. So, but I'm just thinking, there's one ship that just went out. That's the first ship that just went
from
out.
the States.
Yeah,
okay.
But I haven't heard anything else.
That's good news. We'll see how it goes. You know.
Yeah.
I'd love to be on the first voyage. You know, I wasn't invited, but you know, I would go. You know, I mean, and that's another aspect we didn't even touch on. I know probably people are bored watching us on the screen, but another aspect of this is if we were able to go back to work tomorrow, who would? You know, there's some kind of a stigma if you're afraid of this. If you know, if you have any fears, and you know, for me, I don't care. You know, I'm ready to go right now. But I understand that there's other folks who aren't, and I think I put up a post on LinkedIn. I'm like, hey, I'm ready to go. I'll fill in. I'm not trying to steal nobody's gig, but if somebody's not ready, I'll fill in for you, and you can have it back when you're ready. You know, I'll be the tester. It's at that point.
Like anything in life, we have to look out for ourselves at the end of the day. So if you're comfortable with yourself and going back to work, manage yourself, whatever that means to you. You got to.
If you're not, that's cool.
Whatever.
Too.
Right. And another thing though too, we also have to be responsible for what we do because we don't want to send the wrong message either. Because Lance just said some good stuff about making sure that you're compliant. Now, a lot of you have the A League who's going to do that. You have the B League who's going to sort of kind of do it, and then you have the C League, which is the Portland circuit, who
is terrible.
They're going to try to cut corners as much as they can. So
terrible.
Like, we don't want to give the wrong message either, because one thing I will say in this time that we're all sitting down, if we do what if we do what Lance said, like roadies of color united, like we can make some. See, right now, we can make some changes in some things that wasn't quite right because we know the promoters that's gonna try to, you know, cut the corners, and they're not gonna have the compliance guy there that's gonna check. And for me, it's like, yo, dude, I just had another baby. Like, I can't bring anything negative in. And then for some people, we don't know if the roadie's mom got sick and died. We don't know how it's affecting everybody. So to Lance's point, we do have to be on the same page because we're all in this thing together. And if we send the wrong message, then it's gonna be, oh, they'll come back. Don't worry.
You can't underestimate the nature of this virus. I mean, the average person that gets infected is infected for 2 days before they show any signs and symptoms.
Right.
And on average, for each person that's infected, they infect 2 more people. Those people
or more.
Well, here's how it works. The initial person infects 2 people. Those 2 people infect 2 more people. Those 2 people infect 2 more people. So within 3 spreads, you got 15 people that are infected. This is where contact tracing comes in handy.
Right.
Typically, you know, the sooner that you could reach out to that first case, the person that shows positive, the health department gives you a list, and you start making your calls to find out where that person's been, who that person's been in contact with, make sure that they understand the significance of the situation that they're in, and you reach out and contact those people. If you contact those first 2 people that he ran into, you just save 12 people from getting infected. You know, and we have to educate people, and we also have to kind of look out for ourselves. Certain situations, I mean, if they're like high risk, and it starts at the top, if management doesn't allow the compliance officer to do what they're supposed to do, or just
Yeah.
common sense doesn't prevail, you know, you have to kind of think about your personal safety, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, and
Really,
Absolutely.
a bad
Absolutely.
situation. Everybody's now knows somebody who's either had it. I just talked to David Gardner earlier today. He's in isolation right now.
Mm.
You know, and it affects people differently. And like I said, if you have underlying conditions, if you have kids at home, I'm 64 years old, so I would be considered at high risk,
Right.
Yep.
especially when we come back out, because it's
Yeah.
no joke. And
no
right
joke.
now, until they figure it out, it's going to be around for a minute.
Well, and that's
So I
meant
like
that.
to say that it's been wonderful, guys. We do need to. I love you all. You
closing
are just,
time.
I want to
go
say, wait,
Last call.
one second. One last call. I need to say hello to Sonia, Carrie. Sonia asked, will California allow for drive-in events like
Doing it now.
Atlanta?
Yeah, they're
We're
doing
doing
it now.
We're not doing that.
They're doing them.
Oh, we're doing
Yeah.
some of those here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think over in Marin, I know there's some. Hello, Laura Blake. Thank you for showing up late. It doesn't matter. These guys have just provided us with the wealth of information.
Sorry for your loss, Laura.
Yeah, we're sorry for your loss. And just look forward to, if we need to do a part 2, we'll do a part 2. But right now, again, I thank you guys, and let's stay in contact, and let's do what it do.
Peace,
It
brothers.
is what it is. That's Alonzo's favorite
Thank you for
word.
having us.
I
Love you guys.
All right,
Love you
guys.
guys. One and
Believe in
all.
your greatness.
Thanks, everybody.
Yes,
See you
thank
soon.
Peace
Yeah.
out.
Yep.
Thanks, Ross.
Hey, Ron.